I'm going to teach you guys how to win games. Okay, so first of all, you're Katarina, right? And let's say you have to play out the early game right. That's what a lot of people do. They play out the early game right, and they get fed as fuck. Okay? And then a lot of problems that people have is that they just see Katarina as like a champion that just deals damage. That just deals damage and can one-shot people. Like, that's just the stereotype for Katarina. But if you want to actually win games, you have to understand Katarina beyond that. So Katarina is a reset champion. And what she excels at is team fighting. Okay? So what does this mean? That means you have to team fight. You have to coordinate your team and get your team to team fight when you're strong. Okay, early game, Katarina is pretty strong. She's like in the middle. She's okay. And then around mid game, she is very strong. That's the strongest point in Katarina's like game. Or Katarina's the strongest in the mid game throughout all the stages of the game. That's what I meant, right? And then late game, she starts to fall off. So she's like mediocre, right? So what you want to do is early game, your job is to get strong. Your job is to get fed. Your job is to get items. Mid game, your job is to use those items that you gain from mid game, whether it's killing your opponent, just farming really well, and start team fighting with your team. Start skirmishing, start going around killing things. The problem with players is that people who know how to play the mid game, they translate what they know in the mid game and what they do in the mid lane and what works in the mid game into the late game. But that's not how you should do it, because Katarina's mid game falls off, and yet people try to do what they try to do mid game. Is, you know, going on the squishies, one-shotting them, making picks. That's not what you want to do. Let's look at the difference between mid game. Okay, so mid game, you have your power spike. Once you hit level 11, you're very strong. Very strong. People are not tanky. Enemies are very, very squishy. And you have like Gunblade, and then you have Gunblade. So these three things make it so that you're allowed to just go in on the enemy team and kill them. But around the late game, let's try to add things up. Late game, your damage is subpar. Damage is subpar because people are building MR. Because MR. Enemies deal more damage. Because they have items. Death timers are way longer. They're way longer. So if you're in the mid game and you die, it's okay, because you come back maybe in like 30 seconds. So you can go in for these plays, get some kills, it'll be worth it. But when you're in the late game, you can't do that because your death timers are way too long, and whatever death can be taken advantage of. Especially on a Katarina, who they don't have to worry about getting cleaned up on if the Katarina is dead. They're just gonna like take Baron and all these objectives when you're dead. So you have to play super careful in the late game. But a lot of people still try to go in and try to pick up all these kills, try to make the hero play, going on the backline, kill them all. That's not consistent. It's not gonna happen every game. If you keep playing like that, you're just gonna lose most of your games where the teams don't allow you. You have to adapt. So remember, play differently from mid to late game. Mid game is your power spike, and you want to take full advantage of it and use that early game to make your mid game very strong. So mid game, this is where you want to start making as much moves as possible with Katarina. So you got Katarina, who is a very good team fighter, very good at picking up kills. So let's say you're a fed cat, and you are picking up a bunch of kills. Very fed. So then let's say you get a kill. What do you do with the kill? You get your team and you try to push as much as you can with that one kill. So like whether that one kill that you get, because you know everyone's getting fed with cat, right? Everyone's saying like, oh, I get like 20 kills and yet I still can't carry. It's because they don't know how to use the kills. These kills have to lead into something. So use this kill, tower, get towers, dragon, herald. But towers are very important. Towers are very important because they will help you end the game in the late game. You know? So every kill should result into something, so that in the late game you have more room to work with, especially towers, because towers, they deny vision, they give less room on the map for your enemy to work with, so that you can go into their jungle and do stuff. You know, if you get a tower, you can roam in jungle, roam into their jungle, or clear visions on the map safely, and you can rotate safely. So I know around this time you're getting a bunch of kills. You're getting a bunch of kills. So every kill you get, look to see where you can go. Tower, dragon, get more farm. You could even get more farm. Let's add that there. More farm. If there's really if you really can't get any tower, dragon, herald, get more farm into more items. But ultimately, if you win a fight really hard, let's say you get 5 kills. Say you get 5 kills. Clean them, sweep clean. Towers, herald, objectives. The point of this game as Katarina is to kill them and then get as much out of it. Win the team fight super hard so that you can get something out of winning the team fights really hard. Think about it this way. Let's say you weren't Katarina. Let's say you were Syndra, and your team just won a fight completely because your team fight was played well, and you cleaned up their whole team as a Syndra. You just, it was a slow fight, but everyone on your team is alive, and everyone on their team is dead. Imagine how much you can get from that, right? If you're Katarina, Katarina is very good at that. Katarina is very good at forcing the enemy to just fight and then just completely kill everyone, and then everyone on your team is alive. Katarina has the capabilities to do that, and I'm pretty sure you guys have been in scenarios where that does happen. So if that's the case, you have to push as far as possible. Stop trying to pick up more kills afterwards. That's not the point of this game. If it's about just getting kills, then you should be farming shrooms in MapleStory, okay? So, okay. Let's say you're very strong now. Still mid game, very strong. Cat. And you are basically the carry. So you are the carry now. What you have to get your team to do is coordinate team fights.
The Dark Lord is here!
Flintlock, thank you so much for the sub, dude. Much love. So, team fights. Coordinate team fights. Group. I'm going to put a star on this. Group with your team. Group with your team. Make sure side lanes are pushed. Make sure lanes are pushed. Lanes are pushed because you want to be able to constantly keep up the pressure on the enemy, make them constantly move around the map. So tell your team to coordinate around you. Tell team to play around you. Because if you're really strong, if you're really fucking strong, you can clean up any fight at a certain point. As long as you're patient enough, as long as you're going at the right time, everyone will be dead. That's how you gotta play out the mid game. Constantly look to group with your team, constantly team fight, and constantly win these team fights so that, you know, you can win them before it gets too late. And you don't want to, okay, don't, disclaimer, don't constantly look for picks. Don't constantly look for kills. Star. This is a team game. Remember, guys, this is a team-oriented game. You can't just go around with Katarina and just kill people and try to carry that way. It's not going to work every time. You want to stay more consistent. You want to work with your team because Katarina is a reset champion. If she's a reset champion that can 1v5, that's a very big mistake. That's a very big mistake on Riot's part, and Riot did not intend Katarina to do that. So don't get out of that mindset. Don't think like that. Clear your mind and work as much with your team. I think one good thing you should do is something called playing queen. Playing queen. And this is a term that I made, but it helps me understand. It helps you understand, like, how you should be playing out games as Katarina. Okay? So playing queen, what does that mean? Imagine you're a queen of a kingdom or of an army, right? So this is you. This is not chess related. I don't play chess. So this is you. And you have your whole army here. Right? Let's say Katarina is the queen. Are you gonna put yourself in the front here? Are you gonna put yourself in the front here to start off the war, start off a fight? No, you're not. Because you're the queen. The pawns or whoever is trying to protect you, right? And you basically want to clean up a fight. That's what Katarina does. You want your team to deal the damage for you so that you can go up in the end and end the fight. That's what Katarina should do as a reset champion. So play queen all the time. Use your team. When your team is going out bot lane doing random stupid shit, go there and use these pawns to go into the fight, whatever, right? Into the enemy team. You sit in the back. That's you. You sit in the back and you watch how the team fight goes, and you can tell this is what it this is how it goes with like every other team fight, mid game to late game. Yeah, but some people just don't understand that. You gotta let your team fight it out. You gotta let your army fight it out before you go in and end the fight. Okay? I think that's a good mindset for you guys to understand. I think I've explained that pretty well. So remember, guys, play queen. Okay? Very important. Okay, so now let's say we got to the late game. Late game. Now we're in the late game. Let's say mid game didn't go well, and you guys are like trying to end it late game, and it got too far or whatever. What you have to do here is 100% coordination is so fucking important in the late game, because whenever someone dies, death equals loss. Like, just think about it that way. Every death is gonna lose you the game. Every death will lose you the game. If you go in and try to make a pick and die, you're gonna lose. So don't die. Don't die in the late game. Like, and I'm not saying like don't go into the fight and just like live. Like, I'm saying like don't go around doing stupid shit. So coordinate with your team. Make sure you don't die. Death timers are long. Death timers are long. So every death is very detrimental to your team. Okay? Now, try your best at this point when it comes to team fights. At this point in the game, you need your team. You 100% need your team at this point of the game, because let's say, you know, with the whole queen example again, you're the queen, you're really strong, these are your pawns. Let's say the enemy was around this, they look like this mid game, but now in the late game they are this. Now you 100% need your team to win fights, to end the game. You feel me? They don't look scary now, but late game, they are. So you need your team late game. And how you should play out the team fights is like so. Team fighting. So let's say you have enemy team like this. Here's your team, and this is you, right? Backline walks up, tries to go in, right? You should either try to wait out the fights, because you're not the one dealing the damage completely. Like, you're strong, yeah, but you're only strong enough to end fights. End fights. Your objective is to end the fight, okay? Your objective is to clean them up. So you should be like, let's say you're just back here. Let's say their backline is very strong. They walk up. You have to use your team's damage in order for you to deal damage to them throughout the whole fight. Okay? So let's say this is the ADC. ADC deals a lot of damage to tanks. So you want to stay with your ADC because they deal a lot of damage. You know, your support ADC, and just fight with them. Try to peel them off your ADC. And if the backline gets low that way, that's when you enter into their backline. Or if their front line gets low because of that, that's when you enter into their backline, and then you try to kill them all there. But you can't get too angsty. If you were here, and you found a way to get into the backline, you better make sure you have the damage for it. But at this point in the game, people are building Aegis, people are building Redemption, people are tanky, they have MR, like Hex Drinker, whatever they are, and you're not going to be able to kill them very, very fast. So consistently, the most consistent way to play out a team fight late game is to play around your ADC. Play around the damage dealers on your team. Play around the people that are strong. Okay? If you really want to play risky and you feel like you can one-shot their backline, yeah, go for the backline. That's fine, as long as you know what you're doing. But if you don't do it properly, you will die and you will lose the team fight. Straight up. It really depends. Like, that's how you have to think. You are a very fragile but very important part of this team. You have to play it out perfectly. You have to be patient. Okay? And then, you know, let's say you do end up winning these team fights. Make sure you go with your team. Win fights. Make sure you get objectives. Push. I don't know how much I can't stress this enough. You have to push your objectives, push your lead, use your advantages. Use advantages. Use your advantages, and I'm 100% sure you will win your games. Okay? Don't just go around picking up kills and do nothing with them and just trying to pick up more kills. Like I said, you're not playing fucking MapleStory. You're not grinding champions because it's easy. You're actually trying to kill and win a war here. So use your advantages. Use them properly. Learn to adapt from mid to late game. Mid game is not the same as the late game. Don't play late game out like you play mid game. Okay. So yeah, I've already described to you mid game, late game. I've already described that. So take notes, and you should be able to win your games now, or you're on your way to having the mindset to win games. Okay? Holy shit.